Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you all on this end of the week on a Friday. I see we have Michael that's joined us already, and Josephina, and Catherine, and Eva, and Liam. Wonderful. So we're going to get started right away, and we're going to sing a song we haven't sung in a long time, actually. The More We Get Together song. The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Now we're going to do the same song, but now we're going to sing The More We Sing Together. Are you ready? The more we sing together, the more we sing together, the happier we'll be. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we sing together, the happier we'll be. Now we're going to sing The More We Dance Together. The more we dance together, the more we dance together, the happier we'll be. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we dance together, the happier we'll be. And let's go back to the beginning and do The More We Get Together. The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. For your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Well, good morning again, and it's nice to see that we're filling up our room here, which is wonderful. And I've already said hello to a bunch of people. Let's see who else has joined. We have Baylul. Hello, Baylul. And we have, Allegra and Marley. And we have Felix. That's wonderful. And let's see. And Vera. And Iris is here as well, and Lily. And yes, Vicky, it is No Gift Friday. That means no gifts at all today. So if you put one in, you could delete it. And that's just in case you don't know what a GIF is. It's that picture that you click on, and then it fills up the whole chat feed with it. And then I can't see who else has joined because it takes up so much space. So I think Vicky's right. No Gift Friday. Okay, so let's see if you remember our song that we did the last time, the one about Do Your Ears Hang Low, and we had lots of conversations about that. So let's see if you can join me with that one. Remember, we start off at a regular speed, and then we gradually get a bit quicker and a bit quicker. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental shoulder? Do your ears hang low? Okay, let's do that one more time just to remind ourselves of the words, and then we're going to try and do it a bit quicker. Are you ready? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, a little bit quicker. Do your ears hang low? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, I almost got caught with that one right at the very beginning. So you better be singing along and helping. Try that same speed. Are you ready? Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Okay, I think we're getting it. So now time to go our fastest yet. Do your ears hang low? Do you wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your ears hang low? Did you keep up? Let's try one more time. Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you time in a note? Can you time in a note? Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental slow? Do your ears hang low? Okay, well done if you managed to keep up with that. Excellent. All right, so thank you so much for joining again. I'm going to just make sure we haven't missed anybody. Stephen, hello, Stephen. Nice to have you here. And Yoshi, lovely to see you here too, Yoshi. So that's great. So we've just got a couple songs that we've sung about. And so today, if you remember, I said that on Wednesday that I was going to continue talking a little bit more about that famous composer, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And he was born over 200 years ago. So back then, and 200 years ago, there was no cars, there was no electricity, there was no computers or iPads or phones, and it was a totally different world that people lived in back then. And because there was no electricity, they had to use oil lamps and candles when it got dark. And if you didn't have the money to buy oil lamps and candles, you simply just had to go to bed. Can you imagine that? As soon as it went dark, you'd have to go to bed. And so people would go to bed and then they would get up when the sun rose in the morning. So that's how they knew how to go to bed and get up. If they didn't have enough money for candles and didn't have enough money for the oil lamps, then, like I say, they simply went to bed. So one of the other things that was different, because there was no television and there was no radio, the people like Mozart wrote music because that's what people did. They would go and listen to people's music. And Mozart was very, very good at it from a very early age. In fact, they called him a child prodigy. And a child prodigy is somebody that is just so amazing at a very, very young age. And Mozart was. He wrote his first piece of music when he was 6 years old. And I happened to find that piece of music. So you can hear what Mozart wrote when he was 6. Pretty incredible. So it's called a Minuet in G, and this is what he wrote. So can you imagine that a 6-year-old boy could write a piece of music like that? That's incredible. And so he actually had that piece of music published, and that meant that people could buy it or they could get a copy of it and they could learn how to play that too. So that was his very, very first piece of music. And so it was quite a happy sounding piece of music, wasn't it? Because it was in a happy sounding key. And we talked about that, about major and minor. And so the happy sounding music and is generally stuff that we would think about singing or dancing to. And then he also wrote some very dramatic music too. And he wrote this piece of music, and it's called a fantasy in D minor. So I think you're going to find that this is going to be a lot more dramatic. Now, this is a very much longer piece of music, but I'm going to only just play the first part of it so you can get the idea of a dramatic fantasy that he wrote. So that's just the first part. And there's about 4 more pages of music that he wrote to go along with that. But very, very beautiful pieces of music that Mozart wrote. And then there's one other piece, and I've told you a little bit about this piece of music on Wednesday, but I've since found the music for it. And you can see, if you remember the piece of music that I was talking about, there's a tune hidden in this piece of music, and see if you can tell me what it is. Okay. Could you hear the very familiar tune that was in there? Let me have a quick look in the comments, see if anybody got it. Let's see. Oh, we have Evan is here. Wonderful. Oh, we have Ethan, Liam, Lulu, Henry, James, Julian, Kellen, and Owen at school. Hi, guys. It's great you were able to join. And let's see. We'll carry on. And some people know the tune. Okay, but nobody's actually managed to type it in yet. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Felix and Iris. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Well done. So excellent job. So Mozart decided that he was going to write a piece of music based on the tune Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And so he wrote that part, which sounds a little bit different than the Twinkle, Twinkle Star that we know. And then he wrote 12 variations on that. And a variation is where you change it up a little bit. And so they get very, very complicated and very, very elaborate. And I'm not going to even begin to start playing those today because it would take a very, very long time. But again, YouTube is great if you want to look that up. You would be able to listen to all the variations. So Mozart then, and his wonderful music that he was writing, he became very famous at a very early age. And because he got very, very good, that meant he was practicing all the time. As I'm sure some of you guys know, if you are learning to play an instrument, to get better at it, you have to practice. And because he was so brilliant, he was practicing all the time to the point that he actually didn't have time to go to school. Could you guys imagine that? No school because you are practicing your instrument so hard that there was no time to go to school. And so Mozart's dad, Leopold, he taught him everything. So he taught him school, and he taught him violin, and he taught him piano. And then they went on a big tour, and they went to Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, Holland. He visited France and England and Italy, and went on a big tour because all these kings and queens and very rich people thought it was so cool to see a little boy of that between probably 6 and 8, because I think it took about 2 years for them to do that, be able to play so beautifully. So, and over his whole lifespan, he wrote over 600 pieces of music. And I noticed that Vera must have watched the video that I posted on the page, because we find out that unfortunately, Mozart only lived until he was 35. But can you imagine in 35 years, he wrote 600 pieces of music. And so that is a pretty astonishing fact. So I did talk to you a little bit about the magic flute, and I told you I would give you a little bit of information about the story. And the story of the magic flute, if you don't know it, I know we've watched some of the story in school, if some of you remember that. It's all about a beautiful princess being captured by a powerful ruler. And Prince Tamino goes out to try and find her and set her free. And he has a magic flute, and he has the Birdman that goes with him called Papageno, and he has magic bells. And so through their adventures and their journeys, they meet the wicked Queen of the Night, and the Queen of the Night, it tries to stop them from getting out and finding the princess, but in the end they do find the princess and banish the Queen of the Night forever, and we end up with the prince and the princess getting married and living happily ever after. So it's a very fun story, and it's a very fun piece of music, of an opera, and it was one of the last ones that Mozart wrote before he died. So what we're going to do next is I'm just going to remind us of our song that we did, the Rig-a-Jig Jig song, because after last week's class, you guys went absolutely crazy in the comments, and you came out with some amazing verses to go with our song. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do the Rig-a-Jig Jig song, and I'm going to see how many verses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 verses. Crazy. Okay, so I'm going to call out who gave us the ideas, but I'm so happy that you guys all started thinking of animals and then using the letter of the first letter of the name of the animal. You thought of something that they could be doing, or something about the animal that began with the same letter. So I started with leaping llama. So let's do that one first, and then we're going to jump into your guys' verses. Are you ready? As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a leaping llama I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, first one is going to be from Felix, the bad bat. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a bad bat I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Then we have Stephen's drawing dog. Interesting. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a drawing dog I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, then we have Felix again, and he came up with silly stoat. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a silly stoat I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, and then we have another one from Stephen. Felix and Stephen were working hard after last week's class thinking stuff up. So here we have Stephen's trapped turtle. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a trapped turtle I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, next one we have is from Beilul, and she came up with a balancing bunny. Good job, Beilul. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a balancing bunny I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, then we have Catherine came up with a fat frog. Okay, here we go. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a fat frog I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, 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 a and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, we've got a few more to go. We've got Stephen again. A wet Wolverine. That's very creative, Stephen. Good job. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a wet Wolverine I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, let's see who we've got next. Marley. Marley came up with a wired wombat. Okay, good job. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a wired wombat I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, we're almost at the end of all of our creative verses here. Stephen again. Sneaky snake. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a sneaky snake I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Okay, we got one more. Neva came up with a hopping horse. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a hopping horse I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. Well, that was a long song today. You guys were so amazing coming up with all of those verses. I can't believe how many you came up with. And if you've been typing madly in the comments and have come up with even more, I will check them and then we'll do some more of that on Monday, because that was a lot of fun for me to see all the crazy stuff you guys came up with. Let me take a quick peek and see what we've been doing here. Let's see. Oh yes, I see. Oh my goodness, there are so many amazing ideas on there. Oh, we're gonna have a big long song, I think, on Monday. Okay, you guys are just so full of amazing ideas. You've got great imaginations. So it looks like we're gonna have a nice big long song with some amazing verses for that one on Monday. Okay, so just to finish up our songs for today, I thought that we would do our oats and beans and barley grow song, because that is one that we've been learning recently. Oats and beans and barley grow, oats and beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow? Okay, that's the chorus, so you can sing along with me. We'll try that one more time. You ready? Oats and beans and barley grow, oats and beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow? First the farmer plants the seed, stands it tall and takes his ease, stamps his foot and claps his hands and turns around to view the land. Oats and beans and barley grow, oats and beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow? Then the farmer waters the ground, watches the sunshine all around. He stamps his foot and claps his hands and turns around to view the land. Okay, let's do the chorus one more time. Here we go. Oats and beans and barley grow, oats and beans and barley grow. Do you or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow? Oats and beans and barley grow, oats and beans and barley grow. You or I or anyone know how oats and beans and barley grow? Okay, very nice, everybody. So we've had a great class today. We learned a lot more about Mozart. We learned a all about some of the music that he wrote and then some of the interesting things about his life. And I did post a quick 5-minute video on the Facebook page that you're on right now. If after your class, if you haven't seen it yet, you can go to that, and it should be the last post that's on there, and it's a quick 5-minute video story about Mozart. So you could go to that right after the class if you would like and watch that and find out even more information. So excellent job with all the verses. I can see we're going to have an amazingly long song for Monday. And just to let you know that as of next week, because some of our students on here will be going to school, our time is actually going to change, and we're going to have our class start at 10:45, so 15 minutes later than it usually is. So every week when we do our music now on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we're going to start 15 minutes later at 10:45, so that if you're going to school, it gives your teachers a chance to get you inside after recess and be able to watch it at school. Everybody else, if you're still at home, we'll still be carrying on doing the exact same thing, but we'll just be starting 15 minutes later. So if you tune in and we're not going yet, that's because we are waiting to start at 10:45. And I will put a reminder on the page just in case you forget. Okay, so we look forward to seeing everybody at 10:45 on Monday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you then. Bye for now.